The bell just rang on today's trading session for those spot XRP ETFs. Right now we've got 4 major names throwing their hats in the ring: Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, Canary, and Grayscale. And Franklin Templeton and Grayscale just kicked off their offerings today. I'm about to walk you through what's actually happening with these numbers, where things might be headed, and all the latest buzz surrounding this whole situation. So check this out. Franklin Templeton's official account on X dropped something that caught my attention. Blockchain innovation is driving fast-growing businesses. The digital asset tokens like XRP serve as a powerful incentive mechanisms that help bootstrap decentralized networks and align stakeholder interest, said Roger, based on head of digital assets at Franklin Templeton Global. Within a diversified digital portfolio, we view XRP as a foundational building block. Hold on a minute. You're looking at a financial powerhouse managing $1.7 trillion in assets, and they're out here publicly saying XRP is foundational, calling it a building block? That's wild when you really think about it. That's music to my ears. XRPZ provides regulated custody, daily transparency, and liquidity without the operational complexity of holding the token directly. Now feast your eyes on the Monday close. So Bitwise XRP crushed it with 36 million. I mean, seriously, Bitwise just walked in and showed everyone how it's done. Franklin Templeton snagged 23 million, Canary locked down 18 million, and Grayscale rounded things out with 6 million. Tally it all together, and you're staring at $85,756,000 in total volume across these 4 spot ETFs. That number's legitimately bonkers. And there are additional ETFs queued up and ready to launch. We're talking potential triple-digit millions in daily volume before you know it. Someone crunched the numbers, and here's what it looks like. Used today. Average up to 7 funds, 20 million per average, 140 million per day, 700 million per week. Keeping in mind this operates on a 5-day schedule. Traditional market hours, not the 24/7 madness of crypto trading. Break that down further and you've got $700 million every week, $2.8 billion rolling in monthly, with a staggering $33.6 billion annually. This right here is the missing piece we've been waiting for. Proper institutional firepower entering the XRP space. Sure, big money wallets have splashed around before, but that Wall Street capital, that's been sitting on the sidelines. Not anymore though. The floodgates are opening and it feels absolutely electric. Chad just laid out something that'll make your head spin. These scenarios keep returning the same answer in less than 1 year. The combined ETFs will drain the entire circulating supply of XRP on a conservative level. We just need 1 year and it's gone aggressive. BlackRock enters along with every other asset manager, and XRP has gone in less than 6 months. There's only one answer that changes this. The price of XRP must be extremely high. If that statement didn't stop you in your tracks, you might want to read it again. The vibe shift happening right now is palpable. Here's another data point. Approximately 30 to 40 million in XRP could be acquired for the funds. The trading activity we're witnessing is off the charts. And apparently, things are getting spicy in Korea. Korea is FOMOing. Now look at these fresh numbers rolling in. Bitwise 1 hour ago of 15.12%. Heavy hitters with deep pockets are jumping in as I'm speaking to you. Bitwise XRP ETF busts through 1 million share volume within an hour and a half left to trade. The buying pressure is going absolutely ballistic across the board. And here's why that matters. Every single one of these massive financial institutions comes with its own distribution machine. They've got entire sales teams and partner firms laser focused on getting their ETF products in front of investors. And Franklin Templeton, try wrapping your head around this. They're operating out of roughly 13,000 offices. That footprint is legitimately staggering. Okay, time to switch things up and step away from ETF territory for a bit. I've got some video clips sitting here that I'm dying to break down with you. Up first, we've got Charles Hoskinson, yeah, the Cardano founder himself, and he's diving into the Clarity Act. Here's what caught my attention. He's giving major props to Brad Garlinghouse, saying he was basically in beast mode working to get the Clarity Act done and dusted. Take a listen to this.
I think the hardest working person on the Clarity Act was Brad. He was in DC pretty much every day, talking to people every day, eating with the president, doing all kinds of things. I keep running into him. I say,
Well,
hey,
we're talking about Brad Garlinghouse, correct? For clarity.
yes, that's correct. He's one of the hardest working guys.
Look, this dude is an absolute machine. No joke. So Yoshitaka Kato's over in Japan having a sit down with Scott Bessent, who's literally the Treasury Secretary of the United States. And what's on the table? The future of finance and Ripple front and center. Now, here's what you need to remember. Brad Garlinghouse flat out told us that XRP is baked into absolutely everything Ripple touches. Now watch how wild this gets. The US Treasury Secretary jets over to the UK for meetings with their finance crew and ministers. Rachel Reeves, yeah, that's the one. This all went down at Downing Street, and boom, Ripple's got a seat at that table. Fast forward a bit, and Scott Bessent's now in Japan chopping it up with Yoshitaka Kato from SBI, and the topic, you guessed it, Ripple. I mean, come on, the dots are basically connecting themselves at this point, right? Crypto Airy grabbed all this footage and packaged it up. She totally knocked it out of the park with that one. Okay, so up next we've got Paul Barron breaking down XRP as a battle-tested blockchain. Listen to this.
XRP, a battle-tested blockchain, originally designed for payments use cases, but broadening to other use cases today, one of the largest and most liquid assets in crypto. I think there will be significant demand for these ETF products.
So look, let me paint this picture for you. We're not exactly drowning in layer one blockchains that institutions actually take seriously. And I'm being really specific here. When I say institutional grade, I mean the ones where big players are actively saying, we're in, let's do this together. These blockchains have got to pass some pretty hardcore checkpoints. We're talking trust frameworks, compliance standards, KYC protocols, AML requirements, basically the whole 9 yards that traditional finance demands before they'll even think about integration. And now throw stablecoins into this mix, right? What we're witnessing is this massive wave that's way beyond just dollar-pegged coins. Euro-backed versions are here, yen-backed ones are rolling out, pound sterling versions are in the works, Brazilian real editions are getting prepped. I think you can connect the dots on where this whole thing's heading. Every one of these stablecoins can exist and zip around freely on the XRP ledger. And financial institutions can create their own branded stablecoins living entirely within XRP's infrastructure. Then, boom, they can flip that stablecoin into any other stablecoin, digital currency, tangible asset, tokenized instrument, basically anything sitting on that ledger. This mechanism right here, that's your rocket fuel for XRP's valuation moving forward. All right, so check out this next piece. Cody Carbone says more US states are preparing to allow tax payments in XRP. Now that definitely made me sit up and pay attention. Take a listen.
To see this at the state level as well. I mean, we've already talked about the municipal bonds in New Hampshire. I think you're going to see more states start to replicate this. Can you pay your state and local taxes through Bitcoin, through XRP, through Ethereum? I think this is going to be, it's a copycat government system. Well, it'll be huge.
Okay, so all right, they're going to let you pay your taxes with crypto. Wild, right? But honestly, I'm struggling to picture massive crowds lining up for this opportunity. I mean, think about it. Unless your crypto portfolio just went absolutely bananas and you're basically swimming in digital coins, would you really want to hand it over to the IRS? Maybe someone out there would, but not me. When tax season rolls around, I'm reaching for those plain old US dollars. My XRP is staying exactly where it is, thank you very much. Now, here's the real story buried underneath all this. The government wants crypto, badly. But there's a catch. They can't just waltz into the market and start buying Bitcoin and XRP with taxpayer money unless Congress says it's okay. That's the whole reason the Bitcoin Act is being pushed through right now. They need that official permission to spend public funds. So what does this tax thing actually accomplish? It's basically a workaround. The US government gets to stockpile XRP, Solana, and whatever other major cryptocurrencies people decide to pay with, all without spending a single dollar to buy them. Pretty clever when you think about it. Once they've got their hands on all that crypto, what happens next is anyone's guess. And if you want some extra background on this, you can pay taxes in certain US states using cryptocurrency, including XRP, but this is not widespread and typically involves a third-party processor. Additionally, gains in income from XRP and most other crypto assets are subject to federal and often state taxes treated the same way as property tax in the US. Colorado accepts cryptocurrency for state tax payments through PayPal's Crypto Hub, allowing taxpayers to select their desired crypto for payment, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, potentially XRP. Other states like Florida and Wyoming have launched or proposed crypto-friendly tax programs. Payments are converted to dollars via the processor. So I'm thinking they probably aren't hanging on to it for the long haul unless, wait for it, they've been quietly shuffling around some regulations when we weren't looking. All right, next up, dethrone Bitcoin to take the #1 spot on South Korea's latest exchange. Okay, can we just take a moment here? Seeing XRP sitting above Bitcoin on literally any platform makes my day. And shout out to Korea because they are not messing around right now. Now, here's where things get spicy. Reese Merrick just laid out some numbers that'll blow your mind. 92% of the world's banks still don't have direct SWIFT access for US dollar payouts. That means slower settlements, trapped liquidity, and correspondent fees eating away at their margins. US dollar stablecoins are not just cheaper and faster, they're often the only reliable way to move US dollars internationally. So picture this. We're riding this giant digital wave right now, and XRP isn't just along for the ride. It's steering the ship. And Ripple, they're basically the engine room powering this whole transformation. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for today. Super glad you stuck around for this one. If you got something out of this, hit that like button. You know the drill. Pass it along to anyone who needs to hear this stuff. And hey, throw your thoughts down in the comments. I genuinely want to hear what you're thinking. Thanks for giving me your time today. See you in the next upload.